Hi, everyone, and welcome to this latest edition of Screen Southasia in collaboration with Film Southasia. It's a monthly online screening of documentaries. And this month, as you guys know, we have been screening Come Over for a Drink Kanchi out of Nepal, directed by Sikuma Rai. And we're here to have a discussion about the film. And yeah, I thought it was a really interesting film. And we were talking about kind of parallels that we can see in other countries as well. So hopefully we can get more into that in the discussion part. Thank you to Alok from Film Southasia for helping with the organization of this. And thank you to Sycamore as well. And without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Roman, our editor, who's going to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Ratsa. Sikuma or Sikuma, if I may. Thank you so much for being here, but also I think thank you so much for the film itself. I won't say much because I think I'm here to just say thank you to Alok and Raisa and also to all of the Himal team behind the scenes making this happen. I'm here mostly just to enjoy the conversation, just like everybody else here. So I'll get out of the way. I just wanted to say, the film, I think, it's so beautiful and so simple, and I think, the simplicity is such a big part of its beauty, but I also think it's actually such a snapshot of Nepali society. It says so much, I think, so much between the lines, so much in the surroundings, and also so much just in what it actually shows. I mean, there are so many stereotypes of the Rai community, like so many other communities, indigenous communities in Nepal as well. And I think, the stereotype about alcohol is, of course, one of them. And again, that's something that attaches to a lot of other communities as well. And I mean, stereotypes are formed by people looking in from outside. And I think the best way to bust them is maybe to look or to see with the eyes on the inside, and let the people on the inside tell their story the way that the people in this film do. So thank you for that. Thank you for that wonderful window. And with that, thank you to everyone for being here. And yeah, Sigumanji and Alok, Raisa, back to you guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Roman.
you.
Welcome, Sikuma. I'm going to quickly introduce you to our guests here today. Sikuma Rai is a multimedia storyteller based in Nepal and the UK and currently in New York. She has also been working as a multimedia journalist in Nepal for the past 4 years. For Sikuma, the process of storytelling and documentary is a way to enrich her life with experiences and come closer to the realities around her. In the undertaking, she shapes her identities. She aspires to see stories through a sociological lens and create an analytical understanding of our diverse communities. We screened Sikuma's film Come Over for a Drink Kanchi, her first film, at Film Southasia 2022, and we are so glad that we could screen it again this time as part of Screen Southasia. Welcome, Sikuma.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Over to you, Raisa.
Sure. Before we start off, I'm just going to play the trailer for the film, just for you guys to see that.
तपाईँको सासू ससुराले चाहिँ खानुहुन्छ कि हुँदैन?
खानुहुन्छ।
खाएपछि चाहिँ के गर्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरूले?
खाएपछि भनिदिउँ कि नभनिदिउँ?
कसैले भने नि घरमा मात्रै एकदम बडासँग बाँच्छु केबाट ऋण केबाट परिस ऋण होइन तँलाई त घर सानो बना भनेको त राजा म रानी बस्छु म झुप्परे घरमा बुझ्दै बाँचेको बाँचे फुपासँग।
अनि उहाँहरूले के नखानु खानु भन्नुहुँदैन?
भन्छ नि
त्यही पनि खानुहुन्छ?
अनि छोरछोरले भनेको म कहाँ टेर्छु फेरि।
Nanti umma Tina. Umma Tina. Umma. जाँड खान्छौ भनेको ल सक्यो।
अनि अलैँची लाउनु भए सुकुमेर लाउनु
जिरा लाउनु अलिअलि मरिच लाउनु अनि त्यहाँदेखि फेरि मह लाउनु अनि बेलुका सर संसार देखिन्छ
Okay, yeah, without any further ado, we're going to get into the questions. Also, just a note that if anybody has any questions they want to ask, please do drop them in the chat box.
Thank you, Raisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sikuma, you started your career as a multimedia journalism in Kathmandu at the Kathmandu Post and Nepali Times. What made you want to try to tell a slightly longer format with documentary filmmaking?
I think personally, I never wanted to be a journalist, to be honest. It just happened that way while I was developing my career. And while I was doing journalism at Kathmandu Post, we had this long-term plan to do longer documentaries eventually after we were more confident with our short online videos. So that in that step, I think I got this chance to create a documentary in a workshop, and that just happened. And while I was trying to think about the topics that I wanted to document, it's also, there's a lot of personal reasons. One being, since I've been working in media since the age of 18, I've kind of felt that there's very less representation of our community, and it was during the time where the topics of representation was really rare, and I kind of made this determination on myself to tell stories that I grew up listening to, hearing, observing, everything. So when this opportunity came, I thought it was the right time to do something that was more personal and that which represented more of our community and rarely seen in media, mainstream media. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sikuma. And you've also talked a lot about that the idea and inspiration for this film stemmed from conversations about the Rai community and this idea that you kind of describe as like backwardness. So can you explain where this idea came from, this idea of backwardness, and why did you think it was important to try to excavate this through film?
So in the process of researching about alcohol, it was a suggestion from my father and a few colleagues, journalist colleagues who come from our community. And they told me that alcohol is a big problem. And I've grown up seeing alcohol being a big problem in our community as well. I live in Kathmandu, but I visited our village where this film is set on every 2 years or 3 years. And whenever I'd visit, there would be a lot of ruckus because of over consumption. And as I was asking them about how this problem came about, they didn't really have the reason, but they were just saying it is creating a lot of problem. And my father has been a big advocate in our village, saying against alcohol use. He does not drink anymore. Even though he used to, he grew up around that same culture, but he kind of stopped drinking and then stayed away from all these traditions that he thought was not helping us progress. So in that sense, this idea of backwardness was something that was always prevalent. Like even while I was researching, I came across this book. I just have a screenshot of it right now, and it mentions that the scholars even thought. I'll read this one out. I encountered one scholarly Limbu who propounded a theory to explain their backwardness. The Limbus are backward because they drink and eat the entrails of the pig, much against the teachings of their mundum, but the words of which might have been interpreted to suit their alcoholic and non-vegetarian tastes. So whichever books I encountered about alcohol and their relationship with the sacred book, which is Mundum, it's always mentioned that even the scholars from inside, they mentioned how alcohol has been the root of our problems and the root of our all of our backwardness. So I was thinking, like, I was trying to go back into this idea of backwardness and deep into there must be any kind of root, even in consumption, even in overconsumption. So that's the that's how I thought I wanted to challenge this idea. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sikuma. Just to, we know it's a complex subject, but could you give us a little context on the history of the Rai community, whatever you can, and its significance? That'd be great.
Yeah. Rai community, they mostly reside in the eastern region, even though centuries ago, they used to rule Kathmandu and Nepal, but later they moved to the eastern region after their overthrow. So, so most Rais will reside in Bhojpur, Khotang, Solukhumbu, and that eastern region of Nepal. And we don't follow Hinduism. It's mostly ancestor worshipping and spiritual, nature, more nature inspired community. And the alcohol and everything that's more nature dictates the lifestyle and livelihood of this community traditionally. Now it's very different. After, I think, there's a huge change in the dynamics within the community as more men were recruited in the Gorkha army. Since then, the movement has been much larger and much more diasporic. They move mostly to the United States or Singapore, now maybe New York or America in general as well. So there's Rai communities are all over the world, and it's hard to kind of make any simple statement about right now. But after the civil movement in Nepal, like any other indigenous communities, the concept of identity, reviving identity, has been a big thing for Rai communities right now. And it's, yeah, that's mostly it.
Thank you.
Once you kind of did delve into the lives of the Rai women in Sikteltar, you've kind of described uncovering this host of private burdens. So yeah, do you want to tell us about the role that alcohol plays within the Rai community? And how did your views change, if at all, after you had listened to their stories?
Yeah. So there's a lot of myth surrounding alcohol in our community. The origin of alcohol, some people say it started when Sumnima, who is regarded as the Mother Earth or the first woman sometimes in Kirat or Rai community, first woman of Rai community, and Paruhang, who's the male version. So Sumnima accidentally came across the recipe for alcohol and made it, and then gave it to Paruhang, her husband. and he consumed it and he got energy. He was so energized that they started making more and consuming more. So culturally it became a part of the lifestyle, and it has been used in a lot of ways, from rituals, from the birth to death, even in marriage. There's I don't know if I've seen, there's a container that's very popular nowadays. It's made out of gourd. It's shaped kind of like a circle, and then yeah, there's a pipe attached to it. It's like, yeah, I think it's popular also in East Asian countries. So that is the container used for alcohol, and that whole thing with the alcohol is used in different rituals in Rai communities, from birth, marriage, death, anything that's that needs to be followed with certain rituals. So that determines how alcohol has been a very important part of uh, our culture. But having said that, it's mostly the women who make the alcohols. What I saw was mostly the women who made alcohols, and they knew the recipe, and they'd make it. They'd be the one who make it, and the men would be the one only to consume it. Not that women don't consume it, but what men had a role was just in the consumption. And also saying alcohol is a big part of our culture, and we must protect it, and we must revive it, we must own it. So in that case, I thought there's this whole separation. Practically speaking, it's only alcohol is only revolving around women's lifestyle. They would wake up at 4 in the morning and start preparing for alcohol, and all the harvest, most good harvest, would go in production of alcohol. So in that case, I thought there's this whole separation. So I felt like I should ask women, I should focus women more, and then observe them more, instead of focusing on how it is so important, how alcohol is so important. As a woman, I felt I was more attracted to that story as well. So yeah, it did, regarding the second question, it did change my views, in the sense that since my father has been the biggest advocate against alcohol, I myself had been staying away from alcohol for a long time during my younger days. So I wasn't partying, I wasn't doing consuming alcohol at all. But then after doing this, I think I understood why people consumed it. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of frustration, and you just want to end a day in a good note and have a good sleep. After that, I think I changed. I separated this idea of backwardness, or separated this idea of basically backwardness, and then thought alcohol just as something that can maybe help you a little bit in life. Yeah, in that way, I did think listening to their stories helped me change the idea of alcohol, at least, besides their stories.
Mhm. Thank you, Sikuma. On that note, actually, alcohol consumption and the way it's viewed, particularly in a very caste-based society in Nepal, it does have, alcohol consumption is related to caste and caste discrimination. Could you touch on that, and particularly in context of the Rai community?
As I said before, I think there's different layers of looking into alcohol consumption. The way I see it, the first layer is definitely the outsider point of view, like how even in this screenshot of a book that I earlier mentioned, it's probably written by I forgot who it was written. Anyways, that's not. So outsider point of view, meaning the one who are who come from upper class, and so I don't know if this was the case for many, but while I was growing up, while I was studying sociology in high school and undergrad, we used to learn there's higher caste, there's matwalis, and there's the lower caste. Matwalis being referring to alcohol drinkers, more indigenous communities. But now it's apparently Janjati and Adivasi. But at that time, we used to be termed as Matwalis. So that kind of stayed with me as well. And that's to be recognized as a Matwali by the state itself says a lot about how outsiders look. But the other layer, which is more what I'm focused on, is the insider's look. And by insider, there's the scholars or the more intellectual elders, and there's those who are more defensive about their culture, about reviving the identity and culture. So the scholars, I think their perception came about after a lot of self-reflection and trying to dig what was not helping to progress this community. And so they would think that we are backward and we don't, let's not consume alcohol because it's not helping us move any further. And there's the other group which are basing just on the information that they've been hearing about how we need to protect our culture and it's being erased. So those group would consume however they like. So in that case, I think caste and this identity has definitely impacted the views on alcohol and how much they can consume. I remember my father saying that early on when they were much younger, even though they used to consume alcohol, it wasn't as much as a problem as it is now. It was more organized, and our grandfather would work hard in the field, and then once they came back home, they would just consume one glass and then they would just go to sleep. There would not be any problem. So I also feel like there's a kind of leadership problem at this age, all related to identity politics and how cultures are perceived by different caste groups and even the state. So there's definitely a lot of impact because of caste. And yeah. I don't know if I'm making any sense or if it's understandable, but yeah.
No, I think it's really giving us a lot of insight about how caste kind of intersects with the kind of issues you're talking about as well. And speaking of insider's view, something that struck me as I did watch the film is about how the women in the film talk to you about their troubles very openly, and they do address you as a member of the family. So I'm curious to know how you managed to gain their trust, and what was the process like of making the film? Like, how much time did you spend with them in making this film?
So the women in the film we're not by blood related, but it's the community that I've grown being around. I've been around while I was growing up. I was born in Kathmandu, but I've always visited this place during every main festivals. So I've grown up seeing them every time. So in that sense, also because it's the hometown of my parents, we refer to everyone as how I refer in the film. And it's like one family, big family. The sisterhood, it is as it is shown in the film, but I can't deny the fact that it's not always a healthy sisterhood. It's been there's always backbiting and everything like that. And I spent 2.5 week, only 2.5 week while making this film. But this time it was a different way of looking. In the beginning, I think the people there assumed I had this agenda to completely ban alcohol. So they did not trust me at all in the beginning. But later on, there's this one moment that after that, they just opened to me completely. There was a wedding happening. It's also in the film. For that, women were gathered after having dinner, gathered in one place, and they were hand weaving this leaf plates and bowls. That's a tradition during weddings. So once they were doing it, I joined them, and then I quietly helped them make the leaf plates and bowls. And in that process, I think they became frank, they became casual, and from there on, I started taking out my camera and then talking with them more casually. And that's only when they started telling me about all their stories. And some of them are also reshot again to get more stories. And once I was familiar with them, and once they were familiar with me as well, it's only then they kind of became more free and started playing around and teasing me around and just being themselves more. So it took me a while, but yeah, the most prominent friendship sisterhood was one between Pavitra and Zirim. They're both my grandmothers, and they told me stories when they were younger, maybe younger than me. They would go together in the forest for foraging, and there were times when men from other village, they would grab one of them, and the other would help them escape from that men for any kind of unfolding sexual harassment or something like that. So I think their friendship kind of became very prominent, and which is something that I tried to show. They're mostly together whenever they're seen, and they're dancing. They're singing. One of them is singing and another is dancing, but they're just doing drinking together, something like that. So yeah, that's something, yeah, I tried to show.
Yeah, I think you've done that pretty successfully. The way, access is such a big thing in documentary film, and I think, you have really developed that over time for this film to be this good. The topic of migration is something that is, we're always talking about, particularly in Nepal these days, and I think we've always talked about it. In the film, one of the Rai women also speaks about her husband and how he's left for work to find work. Can you talk about how migration has changed the role of women, particularly in the Rai community?
I mentioned this in the beginning of this session, that It has been years since Nepali Rai men migrated to other countries after being recruited in the British Army, also known as the Gorkha armies. So the migration of men isn't a modern topic in among Rai communities. There, since 1800s, early 1800s, Rai men have been moving out, going out for jobs to India, to Britain, and other countries. So in that case, the household works has always been Rai women's duty, their responsibilities. And also in this community, there's women are not as submissive as compared to other caste groups, and they're more stronger. And I've grown up watching women very strong and taking more of the dominant role in their families. So I think I haven't researched much on migration and how it's impacted our community, but as far as I know, it has always been a part of our lives so far. Yeah.
Thank you.
And to come back to this idea of community and sisterhood we were talking about, I mean, you were saying that there was a sense of community and friendship, but also at times there were tensions. But I'm also curious to know how that compares with, life in Kathmandu in that sense. Did you see similarities, differences in how community is kind of shared and experienced between those two places?
So I was born and grown up in Lalitpur, not even Kathmandu, mostly in Lalitpur. So there's only one thing is stuck in my head, and that's what my father expressed about his experience in Kathmandu, because he's lived in different places, including his hometown and other cities. He said that even though we moved to where we are right now in Kathmandu almost more than 10 years ago, now almost 20 years ago, it took him almost 15 years to finally be accepted in this community, in this place, in this specific town that we are living in. So I think that tells a lot itself. He told me that even if he wanted to develop or build a road that joins us to the main highway, the communities already residing in that area would indirectly not support him, not support his cause, and instead pull his leg or try to create obstacles in that endeavor. And he's expressed his disappointment for a long time, and how he's not been able to build a community here. After a lot of hard work, I think he's finally built a small community in the place where we live is Sunakoti. It's in Lalitpur. It's on the outskirts of the main ring road area, main city. So he's finally built this community through sports and literature, and also organizing small cultural events. So I think there's a lot of difference in that sense. And the people that were creating obstacles were from other communities, and now it's more of small Rai community even within this larger community. Yeah, that's what I have observed so far. I myself don't keep within this community, but just as an observer and trying to see how societies are functioning and how it's unfolding. So that's what I see so far.
Thank you, Sikuma. Music is a big part of your film. You know, you play with a lot of different kind of music. Music is often like sometimes playful in places that, you know, I didn't expect it to be playful in a wonderful way. And there are also a number of folk songs. Can you explain why you thought it was important to use music to describe the life in Sikteltar?
Mhm. Yeah, as I mentioned, I grew up listening to my grandmothers and my aunts singing their originals and the folk songs. So it has always been a topic of interest for me. And even my grandfather was a huge fan of folk songs. He would ask me to play folk songs from Eastern region on my laptop whole day. He would spend his whole day listening to those songs, and it would reach the point where I would get annoyed. So I thought, and even when I went for this shoot, the women there were just randomly singing songs to me. So I thought this was the perfect. There was a few where I, on camera, asked them to sing, particularly for the camera. But besides that, folk songs are a big part of our culture. They'd be singing when they're going to the forest. They'd be singing when they're just making alcohol, just randomly. So it's been a big part. So I thought it was perfect to explain the things that I was not implicitly telling through the film, through the narrative. So yeah, the use of folk song is that is the reason. For the music, for the background music, I was at that time, as I was doing journalism, I was more inspired by the online YouTube videos and documentaries, and that heavily used music video background scores. And those are the music that I found free without any charges. Now at this point, I would probably not use a lot of. I would take out a lot of music, because mainly because how they're very implying something, and rather than the organic experience of the film. But at the time, that was my limitation, I guess. Yeah.
You're muted, Raisa.
Sorry about that. So yes, in the film, you actually, one of the women who you're interviewing talks about how Sikteltar is far from the market and, you know, sort of far from places of industry. So I'm curious to know how outsiders who've spoken to you have perceived life in Sikteltar, and how does that differ from the reality that you saw?
Outsiders,
People who are not from Sikteltar,
how they've perceived their life, you mean?
how they perceive life in Sikteltar, yeah.
Um, I don't know. Not many have shared how they saw Sikteltar. I think many were very sympathetic towards towards the people and how hard their life is. Many have shared that they became very emotional and cried after watching them, and many also felt like it represented the elders, and their grandparents or their parents in through the film. I don't know how it differs from reality. It is hard, and their life has just been about being down to the basics, about just trying to earn their living, be able to afford a good education. So I don't know about this one.
That's totally fine. But I think you answered it pretty well. So there are actually a couple of questions from the audience that also touch upon my next question, and they let me ask my question and also summarize some of the questions from the audience. In contemporary life, we tend to glamorize drinking as well. Do you see parallels in some of the issues that the Rai women in Sikteltar struggled with compared with women living in urban areas in Nepal? That's my question. And some other questions. There's a question in Nepali that I'm roughly translating that talks about how few films are made and few documentaries are made about Adivasi Janjati and women in particular. And drinking, even when films are made, they're about difficulties faced by women rather than independence and those kind of things. And when those talk about independence, they are somewhat influenced by Western feminism and Western culture. And some people even say, I'm again paraphrasing this question, that well, Adivasi Janjati women, it's their right to consume alcohol because it's part of their culture. But this person is asking whether alcohol consumption needs to be so tied to women's independence. And finally, one other question also asks, this is from Ankit Acharya, as a filmmaker exploring the theme of people turning to alcohol as a coping mechanism for frustration and life burdens, did you encounter any moral dilemmas during the creative process? Raising awareness might be more beneficial than showcasing the situation to a broader audience through filmmaking, particularly in terms of ethical considerations. He also congratulates you on the film. But yeah, so the question really revolves around, how drinking is glamorized in urban areas, in cities like Kathmandu or the Lalitpur, and how you dealt with that while making this film.
This was something that I was thinking before trying to create the narrative for my film. But I think more than why they drink, I've been hearing a lot about this problem alcohol is creating. And it was a lot in the media that I thought a new perspective should come in the media at least. And that's how I came with this concept. Yeah, I think for me personally, it was a opposite thing from someone who would not consume at all and who would stay away from consuming it, who would think that alcohol really is the problem, and joining all the negativities with alcohol. I think I came to the other side and thought it's not all that bad. So for me, I don't know. I'm not saying it rules out the topic of negative impact, but I think I was more focused on this fundamental thing, the basics of life, which is health, education, and just being able to afford their own life, which is more the duty of the state to at least do something for their people. So that was more the focus rather than whether alcohol should be tied to women's identity at all or not, or whether because there's so much perception around alcohol, whether it's cultural, whether it's social, but at the end it's only about making life easy, alcohol just as an object rather than attaching so much identity to it. So that was the main perspective behind why I chose this concept for my film. I don't think I'm in the right position to compare it with glamorizing in the contemporary life, because I've stayed away from it for a long time. Now I do enjoy drinking once in a while, but I still won't be the perfect person to explain why they drink it in urban areas and what should be done. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Sikuma.
We also have a question about, as a filmmaker, exploring this theme of people turning to alcohol almost as a coping mechanism for life's burdens and frustrations, and whether you encountered any kind of moral dilemmas or ethical considerations during the filming process. As an example, this person is saying, maybe raising awareness might have been more beneficial than using film. Or is that something you were considering when you were shooting the film?
I think that work was already something my father was doing. And I clearly saw that it wasn't helping anything. Because my father was not providing financial support to them to get their children education, or not that he wasn't doing anything at all. He was supporting in his own ways. He did support as well, but the core problem still remained, whether we advocated against it or not. And there I didn't include her in this film, but there was the school principal who's also a female, and she was time and again educating the kids, educating the women in the village, and she also lives in the village, about how alcohol is just too bad for the society, and to not just socially but also health-wise, they're degrading the health situations. So it's not that no one was doing it, no one was advocating it, no one was sharing the awareness, spreading the awareness, but from the way I saw it, it was not creating any change. And film is far from their access, so it wouldn't help them in any way as well. So those were the things that I really considered. And even I took this film and went back to them to show them. I created a small makeshift theater with the projector and the white cloth, and then showed it. There was like almost 30 attendees from the villagers. Everyone that I interviewed, I had also interviewed men as well before I decided not to keep them. And then I asked how they saw themselves, or if there's a change in how they saw it. But they were more focused on the gift, the umbrella that I had taken as a gift for them. They were more focused on the umbrella because it was monsoon and it would really help them to in the daily life. So that tells a lot about how they perceive life and how they lead their life. It's very down to very practical things. But what I saw change was how the new generation, of daughter-in-laws or the children who were growing up, they kind of got what I was trying to say. And I think I felt successful with the film at that time, when the new generation were more self-reflecting after watching the film. And they are the ones who don't consume at all at the moment. But the women that I interviewed, I don't think they will change unless they take their own step. And I don't know how they'll make that. Yeah. Does this answer the question?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
So there's another question and comment from Miami Guru. It says, I really appreciate the neutral, non-judgmental lens that you portrayed the women through. The audience really felt how comfortable the women felt with you. Would you say that there were any biases or influences that affected how you presented or interviewed the women? Or do you have any regrets or anything you would like to change about this film in retrospect?
Music is the one that I would love to change, as I mentioned earlier. I would take out a lot of background scores. I think there definitely is bias. One is definitely that of being a woman. I had interviewed, like I said, I had interviewed men and even the principal, but that just did not add anything to the narrative that I was trying to create. And then there's I stayed during my filming. I stayed with Amrit, the character Amrit. She's my aunt, and I spent a lot of time with her, and so that eventually I think creates certain kind of bias already, since you watch a person 24/7 rather than the other ones who I met during some part of the day. That already has created a bias, and that might also be the reason why I present her somewhat like the main character throughout the film. I keep her narration, I keep her story more on focused, and she's the one who has taken a lot of whole change. She mentions about her health issues, mental health issues, and the steps she wants to take. Like, she used to drink a lot, but now she's just made an effort to drink maybe beer. But at this point, she's completely left drinking alcohol at all. So she's the main character for me, and the bias came after living with her more than the other women, I think.
Thank you for that, Sikuma. And one last question before we end the discussion today. What are you working on right now? Do you have any plans for upcoming films? And yeah, we're curious to hear what you're working on in that realm.
So I'm a student right now, studying in New York. So there's a short film that I'm working on, trying to edit. It's after coming here, I've dealt with a lot of dilemma regarding language. So the film is about how I'm dealing with this crisis, along with a fellow three students who are also from the East Asia. Yeah, that's one story. I'm trying to experiment more with visuals as opposed to the narrative. That's one. And like I said, I'm really interested in folk songs from our communities. So that's the main film that I'm trying to develop right now. Hopefully I'll be done by 2025. But for this film, I don't want to speak that much because I'm still developing. I'm still in the process of developing. But yeah, hopefully we can see something soon, by the end of 24 at least. Yeah.
Great, look forward to it. And yeah, hopefully we can screen it at a future date.
Thank you. I know I'm not really a good or interesting oral speaker. So I'm really glad that people stayed with us till the end.
We're getting a lot of thank yous. People really love the discussion. So I guess people are disagreeing with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, this brought back a lot of memories. I did shoot when I screened again the film to my characters, I had filmed that whole process, but somehow I didn't end up editing it. Hopefully that too will be in line.
We look forward to that. Thank you so much, Sikuma.
Thank you.
Thank you.